On today's video, I'm going to discuss absolutely everything that you need to know about the Chinese Shar Pei, including their origins, temperament, trainability, exercise and grooming requirements, as well as everything that you must own for one. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. The Shar Pei is one of the most recognised breeds in the world thanks to their wrinkles around their faces and their blue and black tongues. However, a Shar Pei's coat too is another distinguishing feature of the breed because it's quite bristly to the touch, although it looks like it should be soft. The Chinese Shar Pei boast being one of the most ancient breeds on the planet and were originally bred to hunt, guard and herd in their native China, although they were unfortunately often used as fighting dogs too. The dogs we see today are less wrinkled and taller in the leg than the original dogs that first came out of China back in the 70s, and they were considered one of the rarest breeds in the world. Thanks to careful and selective breeding, the Shar Pei has become a popular choice in many people, not only here in the UK but other regions of the world, and breeders have successfully bred out many of the health issues that once plagued the breed so much. These extraordinary dogs have been around for centuries, having first been developed by crossing Nordic dogs with Mastiff type breeds. They boast a blue tongue, which is one of the distinguishing physical traits of the Chow Chow, and as such it is thought that they might well have been used to create the Shar Pei. The breeds originated in China, where they were originally bred to work as herding, guarding and hunting dogs, although at the time, as I've mentioned, they were unfortunately used as fighting dogs as well. Statues of dogs have been found in China that date back from the 206 BC to 220 AD, which was the time of the Han Dynasty, and even today visitors to certain regions of the country will still see the Shar Pei working alongside their owners, whether hunting, herding or guarding. Back in ancient times, the Shar Pei's loose skin and short, coarse coat offered them protection from their opponents when they were used as fighting dogs. They also have hooked canines, which meant a Shar Pei could hold on to a dog they were fighting that much better. Their close, small ears were harder for their opponents to grab hold of as well. And at one time, they were considered a delicacy in their native China, which unfortunately is disgusting to us now, but it actually saw a law being passed forbidding anyone to own them as an actual pet, which very nearly led to the breed vanishing off the face of the planet forever. However, a breeder promoted the Shar Pei outside of China, which luckily saved the breed from extinction, although at that time, these dogs were classed as one of the rarest in the world. The first dogs to be taken out of China were shorter in the leg and had a lot more folds and wrinkles, with many adults suffering from a condition known as entropion, a painful eye condition that needs veterinary attention. Over time, with careful and selective breeding, these issues have been successfully bred out of the Shar Pei, with breeders producing dogs with longer legs, not so many folds in their skin and much healthier eyelids. It was during the last century when China's borders opened that fiercer breeds were introduced to the country, which included the bulldog and mastiffs, which were then mated to local dogs, that the Shar Pei became less popular as a fighting breed in their native China. This saw the breed become more of a home dog that was kept for reasons other than fighting. This saw a rapid drop in the breed numbers, a dilemma that was not helped by the introduction of extremely high taxes for anyone who owned dogs on China's mainland. As with all breeds, there are certain things that you must buy well in advance of getting your Shar Pei. The products I'm about to discuss I've found the best prices for, and I've listed them all in the description section below. So you can go check them out whether you're getting a Chinese Shar Pei or you already have one but you might still need some of these items. The first thing is good quality dog food, and it is an absolute must. No exceptions and no excuses. If you cannot afford good quality dog food, then you need to wait until you bring a Chinese Shar Pei into your home. Then you need food and water bowls, and for a larger breed like a Chinese Shar Pei, I think it's imperative that they're raised off the ground with a riser like the one I've listed to ensure that they don't get bloat or gastric torsion. A good quality dog collar and lead, and personally I prefer simple slip leads as I'm an advocate for perfect heel training for all breeds. But if heel training is something that you're still working on and you might not feel comfortable, you might want something a little bit more secure, so I've also listed my favourite harnesses. There's also in the description box you can find my recommended dog crates as well as beds, blankets, toys, and I'll discuss the grooming equipment further on in the specific grooming section. The Shar Pei is a very loyal and affectionate dog by nature, even though they may always have a frown on their faces. However, they are not the best choice for first time owners because they need to be handled and trained by someone who is familiar with this type of dog. They are known to be quite independent and reserved, but once they form a bond with their owners or families, they become valued members of a household. These dogs love being inside the home where it is cosy and warm because they really dislike the cold. They can be very wary and aloof when they meet anyone for the first time, but would not show any sort of aggression towards a stranger, preferring just to keep out of the way. It's essential for a puppy to be well socialised from a young age, and their training has to start as soon as possible. The Shar Pei needs to be taught who the alpha dog is in the household because they are much happier and more obedient when they know their place in the pack. And if a Shar Pei is allowed to rule your home, it can lead to a dog becoming much more unruly and harder to handle. It is worth noting that Shar Peis tend to be very messy eaters thanks to their rather thick lips and jowls. The same can be said when they drink water, which they do rather messily. With this said, they are also known to like to keep themselves and their environment clean, and providing their folds and creases are kept nice and clean, Shar Peis rarely have any sort of doggy smell about them. The Shar Pei is known to have a high prey drive, and therefore they are not to be trusted around smaller animals and pets. As such, it's important to keep a Shar Pei on a lead when they are being walked in areas where other animals are known to roam, and this includes wild animals and livestock. They're also known to be aloof and proud, but they're also playful by nature with their families and enjoy playing interactive games. And it's important to know when a Shar Pei is being playful and when they are showing a more dominant side to their natures, which is why they are better suited to people who can understand that kind of nature within the breed. The Shar Pei is an intelligent dog, but they need to be handled and trained with a firm yet fair hand. They do not respond well to any sort of harsh training or correction. However, if an owner is too soft, the Shar Pei, as previously mentioned, will start to show a more dominant side to their personality, which is something to be avoided at all costs. They do have a stubborn streak in them, which means they need to be handled and trained by someone who's familiar with this type of breed. It takes a lot of patience and consistency to train a Shar Pei, and even then they are not known to be the most obedient of dogs. This is why they are not the best choice for novice dog owners, because a Shar Pei might get the better of them and then start to show this more dominant side that we've discussed, which makes them much harder to handle and live with. Males grow 46 to 56 centimetres, weighing 25 to 29 kilos, and females in a very similar range, although slightly lighter on most occasions. The Shar Pei is one of the most recognisable dogs, all thanks to those loose folds found on their faces and bodies. They are quite compact and square, but very powerful looking, showing a lot of bone. Their heads are quite large, but not so much as it is disproportionate from the rest of their body. They have flat, broad skulls with a moderate stop, with dogs having a moderate amount of wrinkles on their cheeks and forehead. They boast broad, slightly padded muzzles and lips, and in profile their bottom jaw seems to be wider below than at the top. Their nose is wide, large, and ideally black in colour, although other colours are allowed under the breed standard. Their eyes are almond-shaped, medium in size, dark in colour, with dogs having their trademark frowning expression. And dogs with lighter coats can have lighter coloured eyes, which is allowed. Ears are set high and are small, thick and triangular shaped with slightly rounded tips, and they fold downwards towards a dog's eyes. Their tongue and the roof of their mouth, gums and flews are a bluish-black colour, although dogs with a lighter coat and amber eyes can have a self-coloured pigment in them and a lavender tongue. They have a strong jaw with a perfect scissor bite where the upper teeth neatly overlap their lower ones. Necks are moderately long, full and strong, sitting well on a dog's shoulders with little loose skin underneath being allowed. Shoulders are well laid back, sloping and muscular. Front legs are straight and moderately long, with dogs showing a good amount of bone, but mature dogs do not have any wrinkles on their legs. The Shar Pei has a compact, sturdy body with a broad, deep chest and short, strong backs. The top line dips a little just behind the withers before rising to a dog's short, broad loin. In adults, there is a little amount of wrinkling on their shoulder and at the base of their tail. Hindquarters are strong, moderately angulated and muscular, with dogs boasting powerful back legs. And their feet are moderately large but compact with well-knuckled toes. Their tails are nicely rounded and taper to a fine point, with the base being set very high. And dogs carry their tail curved and high, whether in a tight curl or curled loosely over their backs. And when it comes to their coat, the Shar Pei boasts having a very harsh, straight coat that stands off the body, but which is flatter on all four limbs. Their coats may look soft, but in actual fact it is short and bristly to the touch and should never be trimmed. They do not have an undercoat, and the length of their hair can vary from being short to thicker and longer, but it always stands off a dog's body and is always coarse to the touch. All solid colours are acceptable with the exception of white, and a dog's coat can be lighter on their tails, the back of their thighs. They can be found in various colours, which commonly include apricot, black, blue, brown, chocolate, cream, fawn, Isabella, lilac, red or sable. The average life expectancy of a Shar Pei is between 9 and 15 years when properly cared for and fed an appropriate good quality diet. And like so many other breeds, the Shar Pei is known to suffer from a few hereditary health issues, which are worth knowing about if you're planning on sharing your home with one of these active and unique looking dogs. The condition that seems to affect the breed the most include familial Shar Pei fever, primary lens luxation, entropion, excessive wrinkling, bowed legs, joint luxations, hip dysplasia, kidney disease, hyperthyroidism, ear issues and swollen hock syndrome. Thanks to their coat being short and because there are no or very little undercoat, the Shar Pei is not known to have high maintenance in the grooming department. However, it's essential for their folds and wrinkles to be checked on a regular basis and make sure that they are kept clean and always dry them thoroughly, because if moisture builds up in the wrinkles, it provides a perfect environment for a yeast infection to take hold, which can be very hard to clear up once it settles in. It's also important to check a Shar Pei's ears as often as possible and to clean them when necessary. If too much wax builds up in a dog's ear, it can lead to infection, and again, once that takes hold, it is very issue to get that treated correctly. Having the right grooming tools to keep a Shar Pei's skin and coat in good condition makes the task that much easier. The tools needed to keep a dog's coat looking good are as follows, and as always, the link to the best prices can be found in the description box below. I recommend a grooming glove, a chamois leather, a slicker brush, a bristle brush, a fine tooth comb, nail clippers, a pair of round-ended scissors, dog-specific shampoo and conditioner, and a flea and worming treatment if you do plan to do this yourself. The Shar Pei is not a high-energy dog breed, but they do need to be given the right amount of daily exercise and enough mental stimulation to prevent boredom from settling in. With this said, 2 walks a day, with the first morning walk being shorter and the second in the afternoon being a little longer and more interesting, is essential to keep these dogs happy, healthy and fit. They really enjoy letting off steam in a back garden whenever possible, but the fencing has to be very secure to keep a Shar Pei in. And if they are not given enough exercise or enough mental stimulation, it can lead for the dogs developing unwanted behavioural issues, which includes them being destructive around your home. With this said, young Shar Pei puppies should not be given too much exercise because their joints and bones are still growing, and too much pressure on them could result in causing a dog a few problems later in their lives. They should not be allowed to run up and down stairs or to jump up and down off furniture because it puts too much strain on their growing joints. So in conclusion, the positives are that Shar Peis are calm and confident by nature. They are easy to house train because they like being clean, and they are not known to be barkers, being more quiet by nature. They're very loyal and dedicated to their owners and families, and they're natural watchdogs and will protect their owners and property if needed. And they're a great choice for people with older children and for people who are familiar with this type of breed's needs. However, the negatives can include that they can be stubborn, strong-willed when the mood takes them, and they're not the best choice for first-time dog owners. They can be aggressive towards other dogs and animals, and Shar Pei puppies are expensive to buy. They're known to suffer from various health concerns which can lead to high vet bills, and they're known to snore and snort thanks to their flatter faces. They can be aloof and wary with people they don't know, which might not be ideal if you lead a very social life, and they can be overprotective of their owners and property if not well socialised. They thrive on human company and don't like being left on their own for too long, and they're prone to suffering from fungal affections that flare up in the dog's wrinkles. Click top left to see my top 10 guard dog breeds, or bottom left for another one of my videos I think that you'll enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you're new here so you don't miss our daily uploads, but I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of The Canine Show.